Students, welcome everyone to today's lecture on the subject of ground improvement techniques. So today we have to cover the following topic. The topic number 1 is the remaining method of the grouting, then the grouting arrangement and the application of the grouting. In a previous lecture we already studied about the compaction grouting, its applications, then Z grouting, system of Z grouting, that is single, double, triple grouting system, and its application. So now in this lecture we have to cover the remaining methods of the grouting. You know that there are various grouting methods like permeation grouting, compaction grouting, Z grouting, soil fracture grouting, circuit grouting, point grouting, electrokinetic injections. Now in this lecture we are going to start with the soil fracture grouting. In that soil fracture grouting there are various sub techniques like groundwater control, then the movement control, then the support, environmental, circuit grouting, point grouting, and electrokinetic grouting. So these are the soil. These entire techniques is called as soil fracture. Let us start with the very first grouting method, that is groundwater control. So first of all, it is used to preventing the flow either through the sides or into the base of the excavation. It prevents flow, means even it prevents the flow of water either through a side or into the base of any of the excavation. Second point, suppose when you are going to use this groundwater control grouting system in the tunneling, what happened? It control the entire groundwater during the tunneling. Now next point, it preventing, or we can say it reducing water seepage through a water retention structure such as dams, weir, or flood defense structure. Last point is it again prevent or reducing contamination flow through the ground. Means these all 4 points are important to control the any type of groundwater. That's why it is called as groundwater control grouting system. Now the next sub part of the soil fracture grouting is the movement grouting. Now if you look towards the movement grouting, it prevent of ground or the structure movement during the excavation or the tunneling. Now see here, suppose this is the ground level, this is nothing but the ground level we can say, and we have to excavate the ground here. Okay, this is what we have to excavate the ground up to the ground level. To prevent the entire movement of that particular ground, we have to use the movement control grouting system. Secondly, it support the face or the side of the tunnel during the construction or in the long term. What actually it does, it support the face or the side of the tunnel. Suppose this is nothing but the tunnel. Okay, so in this what happened, these are nothing but the sides of the tunnel. This is side number 1 and this is side number 2, we can say. It support the two faces of that particular tunnel or in a construction or the in a long term. Third point is nothing but it increase the factor of safety of the embankment or the cuttings. You know, this cutting phenomenon is used in the transportation engineering. In the road construction, the cutting and filling phenomenon is used. So in that also, to increase the factor of safety of embankments, this such type of movement control is used. Then it is used to providing support to the piles or walls to prevent or reduce lateral movement. Okay, to produce a lateral movement, such type of movement control techniques or such type of movement control soil fracturing grouting is used. The next type of soil fracture grouting is nothing but the support. The support is used to underpinning the buildings during excavation or the tunneling. Second, it improves the ground to prevent failure through the inadequate bearing. Third, it is used in a transferring foundation load through a weak material to the component strata. Now see, First of all, it is support. It support to the underpinning buildings. Secondly, it improve the ground to prevent failure through the inadequate bearing. Very simple. And third is nothing but what happen in this case. It transfer the foundation load through a weak material to the component strata, so that weak material cannot fail. Now next type of the soil fracturing grouting is nothing but the environmental. So in the environmental, what happen? It encapsulating contaminants in the ground to reduce or to prevent contamination offsite or into the sensitive water system. You know that nowadays environmental factor is very important to the society. So what happened when we dug the ground, or when the digging process of the ground is going on, or when we excavate the ground, maybe the encapsulating contaminants in the ground is happened. So to reduce such type of contamination of water, we have to use the this system, so this water system. Second, you have to provide a lateral or the vertical barrier to contaminant flow. And third, introducing a reactive material into the ground to treat specific contaminant by creating permeable reactive barriers. Okay, so you have to introduce a reactive material into a ground to treat specific contaminant by creating permeable reactive barriers. Now next type of grouting is nothing but the circuit grouting. In this grouting technique, it is based on the principle of the grouting from top to downwards. You already see it in the compaction grouting, in the uh, jet grouting. There are various techniques which is based on the principle of down to top, but now this circuit grouting is based on the top to ground. In this technique, a drill hole is bored to the depth of the bottom zone and grout is pumped down the grout pile and return up to the drill hole. If you observe the figure for better understanding, you look towards the figure, you will show that there is a circulation grouting method. In that, the 40 to 50 diameter grout pipe is installed to run the system from top to downward. Secondly, the entire grout having a size that is nothing but the 75 Then, in this particular system, there is a grout pump, and there is one mixer which is used to mix the grout material. So this is the entire circuit grouting technique. The next is a point grouting. In the point grouting, it shallow work of 10 to 12 meter deep. The grout is injected from the points of driven or jetted lens. Injection are delivered at predetermined position along the line of drive and also on the return in the system, where a second reacting grout ingredient is to be placed independently of the initial injection. In the shallow work, such type of point grouting is used. This point grouting is specifically used in the shallow grouting system only, about the depth that is 10 to 12 meter. In that, the injected from point of a driven, suppose this is the point of the injected grouting. From this point, you have to driven or jet that particular lens. These injections are delivered at predetermined positions along the line of drive. This is nothing but we can say line of drive. So these injections are inserted along the line of drive and also on the return in the system, where a second reacting grout, suppose this is the first reacting grout and this is the second reacting grout. What happen when the line of drive and also on the return in the system, where a second reacting grout ingredient is to replace inadequately in the initial position, means in this entire area, this point grouting system that you have to done. So this is all about the point grouting. Next method of the soil fracturing grouting, that is electrokinetic injection. So in that, suppose this technique when you are going to use in the silty soil, it is may not be possible by a chemical or the admixtures perhaps. Secondly, the chemical stabilizers are introduced at the anode and carrying towards the cathode by the electroosmosis. We already studied about the anode and about the cathodes in uh, 11 and 12 standards also. So anode and cathodes are nothing but the positively and negatively charged ions. So chemical stabilizers are introduced to anode and cathodes by the electroosmosis procedure. That is we already studied in the chapter number 3, stabilization of the soil. Then the direct current electrical gradient of the order up to 50 to 100 volts per meter are required. This is all about the electrokinetic. In this next technique of the grouting method, you have to see about the soil fracture grouting. It is a root-like zone of grout material is formed in the soil mass. If you observe this figure, it is look like root-like lengths of the grout. This is nothing but the we can say root of any of the tree. If you remember the any of the root of the any of the tree, it is like this. So this is nothing but in the left hand side. If you observe, it is supporting framework consisting of solid matter, veins and land for the transforming concerned stresses. So this is nothing but the root type of system. This entire system is used as a root type of system in the this particular method. So this soil fracturing grouting, a root like zones of grout material is formed in the soil mass. Then secondly, sleeve pipe grouting technique is used, and thirdly it is used to restoration of vertically of tilted building. Now you know you understand very well about the very first topic. Now second is nothing but the sleeve pipe grouting system is used. Means what? Suppose this is your ground level. In that in this ground level you have to use the sleeved pipe like arm pipe like this. You have to use the pipe system, and it is used for restoration of vertically of a tilted building. Suppose any of the building, suppose this is we can say any of the building which is tilted like this building is what? Tilted. So you have to use the restoration of the vertically of a tilted building. Such type of soil fracturing grouting is used. Then as I earlier said, you have to see the next topic, that is grouting arrangement. The grouting arrangement is having two types. First is a curtain grouting and second is the blanket grouting. See here, in that grouting system there are three major system. First is nothing but the primary system, second is the secondary system, and third is what? Tertiary system. This P stands for the primary, this S stands for secondary, and this T stands for tertiary. These are the three systems. Now there are three types of row to a grouted holes, and which is in the topmost side. If you observe, these are the holes. This is three rows of grouted holes. In the same way that in the vertical side also there are different types of holes, like for the primary, secondary or tertiary, but in the vertical side the grout holes are invisible. Now the next is nothing but the grouted zone between the grout holes. Okay, this is nothing but the zone of the grouting in between the two holes. So this is the entire curtain grouting system. In that curtain grouting system there are again three part. First is a primary, second is a secondary, and third is nothing but the tertiary. In that there is a rows of grouted holes, whether in a horizontal as well as vertical side, and this gap is nothing but the distance between two grouted zones. So this is all about the curtain grouting. So next is nothing but the blanket grouting. Next type is nothing but the blanket grouting. So in that blanket grouting, if you observe, again in this system also there are different types of hole. In this system also there are different types of hole, like primary, secondary and tertiary. This is nothing but a grouted zone between the grout holes. In this system, this blanket grouting, why it is called as, or why this system is called as blanket grouting, because it look like a blanket, and if you observe towards the curtain grouting, it is look like a curtain, and that's why it is called as curtain grouting. So this is the basic difference between the arrangement of the both the grouting. Now the last topic of today's lecture is nothing but the general application of the grouting. This is used in the seepage control, soil stabilization and solidification and stabilization, and the vibration control. In the seepage control, for making vertical seepage barrier beneath hydraulic structure, this type of grouting is used. Then secondly, to stoppage of seepage through joints of underground structure such as tunnel lining, basement wall, in your cutting system or the road construction, such type of grouting is used to control the seepage. Then solidification and stabilization. For stabilization of soil around the tunnel and the shaft, various shaft, such type of grouting is used. Then nothing but the vibration control. Now in how it is used in the vibration control. So the excessive vibration may occur in some places where vibrating machines foundation have an operational frequency approaching the natural frequency of the foundation of the soil material. Due to the several resonance, foundation of many structure may be um, separated to the adjacent floor, or the water table may be lowered, or the mass may be added by underpinning the foundation. In this case, grouting is an efficient way to reflecting the damage occurring due to the such type of excessive vibrations. The chemical injection through the machine foundation soil may sometimes be applied to the decrease the vibrations. So the chemical grouts alterates the elastic properties of the soil and result in increase the rigidity of the base. Increase the rigidity, increase the difference between the frequency of the natural vibration and the operating frequency of the machine, resulting into the decrease its amplitude. So this way to the vibration control, such type of chemical grouting is used